Hello, Recovery Jimmy here. I know I start every video with it's been a while. It has been a while. It's been summer. It's not anymore. Looking out here, I'm kind of rained off work today, so I thought I'd do a little video. First of all, thanks everyone that's listened to my podcast that I was on with Sober Dave, his podcast that I was a guest on. It was an amazing experience. Like, I've done a few podcasts in the past, but it was more like a Q&A, and then this was more like just me talking about my kind of my life story, but actually, you know, my drinking story, which kind of was most of my life. And yeah, it was amazingly kind of therapeutic. Writing down kind of notes before I did it made me delve into the past and think of things that I had, do you know what I mean? I'd kind of put out my mind. I am writing a book, but this is kind of, you know, I've had a bit of a kind of lull on that, and so this has kind of really inspired me to kind of get back to pen to paper or you know, fingers to keys. But yeah, so just thanks to Dave Wilson, Sober Dave. If you haven't really delved into his podcast and you're struggling, then please do, because I've been smashing it, and you know, it's kind of brought to light like a lot of things that I've kind of, you know, I've said myself in the past, but just hearing everyone's stories and different stories, but the similarities of my own story and like just people I know, you know, it's amazing how similar people in addiction kind of are, you know, when it comes to, you know, the hiding of it, the lying about it, just the kind of focus, the mental focus that we have on getting that next drink and sustaining it and not caring about like really anything else that comes in between us and the drink, you know. So yeah, I mean, you know, I've said this in the past, and you know, it's been a while, but like, you know, I know an outright ban on alcohol is just it's never going to happen, because, you know, apparently it makes the government a lot of money, although I heard the other day that they actually lose about 10 billion in the grand scheme of things because of, you know, policing drunkenness, you know, medical bills for people with alcohol, you know, poisoning, which is essentially everything that alcohol does to you. This is the thing that I want to kind of try and convey, because in my, you know, for the major majority of my drinking days, it was like I didn't really know the damage that it does to you, because it is such a socially accepted pastime, you know, like a hobby. Like if you're gonna have some leisure time, drinking is involved, you know, in this country and many other countries, and that's what I want to try and kind of steer away from. There is so much more to life than drinking, and it's not about not doing the things that you do whilst drinking, it's doing them without the alcohol, you know. That is, you can have more fun, you know. You know, this whole myth about, oh, you're boring if you don't drink, it's the people that do drink that are the boring ones, because they do the same thing day in, day out, you know, and weekend after weekend. Everything has to revolve around alcohol, and it doesn't, you know, like, if you're a person that needs alcohol to go and have a good time, then does that not make you quite a boring and like that you need to lose your inhibitions before you have a good time, so you need the alcohol to do that? Like, what does that say about you? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think if you were to go out, and it's not going to be easy at the beginning, but if you go out and start learning to do these things without alcohol, your confidence grows. Because if you're just going out, getting a few Dutch courages in you before you can do anything, then you're not building confidence. You know, you don't have that confidence to be able to go out and, you know, be with your friends. Like, these are your friends, so why do you need to be pissed when you're doing that? And you know, I know I used to say, oh, but I know not everyone does that. Like, you go out into towns Friday, Saturday nights, even Sunday afternoons to Sunday evenings, people are pissed. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't take a lot to get people boozy, and then that's when your inhibitions are down and you start doing, you get your confidence, yeah, but that's when you start doing silly things, and it's like, and you start repeating yourself, and you think you're the most important person in the room, and you know, yeah, I get that people can go out and have a few drinks and that's fine, and I know people like that, and that's great. But that's not what you see out on the Friday and Saturday nights. You know, it's just absolute carnage, and I don't know why this is still a thing, because I think a lot of young people are starting to steer away from it, but then there's the whole other camp that are just going out and getting absolutely leathered. I saw a reel this morning, and a guy came on, and you know, he looked all healthy, he's young, and he's saying, caption said, what happens to your body if you give up drinking for a month? And then there's a pause, and then he brings out a bottle of gin and a glass, and he starts pouring it, and he says, I don't fucking know. And that's funny, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, he's probably in his 20s, but like, if he continues that on, let's have a look at what he looks like in his 40s. Again, I know that not everyone has a drink problem, but I think more and more people are starting to kind of develop them because of COVID lockdowns, you know, drinking earlier. But like, the culture that we live in, it used to be, you know, like if you were laborers or this, that and the other, or if you were in finance, you know, it was all these drinking culture jobs. But now it's just everywhere, it's across the board. Every single type of kind of industry that people work in, there's a massive drinking culture in it. It's not just kind of, you know, relegated to you know like media jobs or you know, musician type jobs. It's like everything. It's like, you know, the nurses, the doctors, you know, the bankers. Obviously, you know, I used to work in banking, and that was a massive drinking culture. But it's across the board. It's like, that's what you do, you know, if you're young, or if you're in your, well, young in your 30s as well, and then you finish work early on a Friday night, it's like down the pub, you know. And then I heard a phrase the other day, prinks. What's prinks? Well, it's pre-drinks, isn't it? So you drink before you go out, and then now it's got this sweet, lovely little catchy name called prinks, and I hate that. I think that's just like, it's just kind of glamorizing it and romanticizing the whole fact that what you're doing is putting poison in your body that's going to make you feel like shit. It only gives you a dopamine hit for a short period of time, and then you have to drink more to get to that. But actually, when you're drinking more to get the dopamine hit, it's basically turning you into like a gibbering wreck. It's making you, you know, talk a lot of crap, and you can't drive a car, you can't go to work. I mean, some of us did, but like, you can't do that. It's definitely frowned upon. And so why do we do it? Do you know what I mean? Like, why do we make ourselves like into this person that then can't really function and do a lot of things? You know, you forget how you get home and all these things. I know I'm going on a bit of a rant here, but it's like, you know, I think we need to kind of start changing people's ideas on it, because I was listening to, well, it was another Sober Dave one, and it was a Christmas special from 2021, and Andy Ramage, I think, was on it, and he was saying how, you know, like the tradition of putting out the glass of whiskey for Santa, what behaviors is that teaching our kids? And that's the thing. It's like their hero, you know, Santa Claus, and he brings all the presents, and he's like, you can go around the world in one night and deliver all the presents. But then we pour out whiskey for him, and that's like, not even just going to the fact that he's having a whiskey at every single person's house that he visits on that night on the entire planet, but the fact that we are making them associate their hero with an alcoholic drink. You know, what like, I know a lot of parents that put out milk for the reindeer or whatever, and a carrot, but also a lot of parents I know that have started doing, you know, they put out hot chocolate or something like that, which is great. You know, and they're not sober people, they just think that it's bad to kind of associate that. So it is a kind of draconian kind of tradition that we do, and we give Santa whiskey, and it's like, why are we doing that still? You know, move away from that. Santa shouldn't be, hey, he's a big old jolly man with a red nose. I think that's Rudolph, but also he's got a bit of a red cheeks and red face. So it's like, you know, is that from his alcohol consumption? Yeah, probably. So let's change Santa around. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just a bad kind of example to set our kids. And, you know, just like, going back to like other things that people can do, you know, I think there needs to be, there's a great coffee shop here in town that's open till like 10, 11 o'clock some nights, and I think that's fantastic. I think there should be much more of them where people can just go. They don't have to be in the house, but they're going out and they can sit in a nice environment. Do you know what I mean? I know I can go to a pub and ask for a coffee, but what, like, if I go in there, it's just going to be, and I know I'm going to sound like an old man now, but it's going to be loud. People are going to be like kind of on a bit edge because they're drinking, so you don't know what reactions people are going to have, and this, that, and the other. You go into this coffee shop and it's, do you know what I mean? It's just a chill place. It's not like deathly quiet. It's not like a library, but do you know what I mean? You can, there's music on, you can just sit and have conversations with people, and that's what going out should be about. It shouldn't be about having to shout across a table to have a connection with your friends. Do you know what I mean? And I know you go out and you go dancing and that's different, but when I'm talking about just like, you know, a simple bar, yeah, like much more coffee shops should be opening up to cater for, you know, people that just want to go and chill out with their friends and make connections and have good conversation. Again, yeah, that maybe is an age thing, but you know what, I'm not the only one that's my age, and we're not all, you know, 22, 23 anymore. So it's just a thought, do you know what I mean? Rather than there be bars opening up everywhere, like, let's open up some really cool, like, you can buy a drink in this bar, that's not the thing. It's just the ethos of it is, it's a coffee house, so you can go in and, you know, there's people there with laptops doing their work and this, that, and other. Maybe I'll start going there and start writing in there in the evenings. That's maybe what I'll do. But anyway, yeah, I just think we need to start educating people a bit more and creating safe spaces for people that don't drink, you know. Like, I mean, I do go out, I do go to bars sometimes, but I don't enjoy it because there's just this like, it's just a bad vibe for me, I think. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know whether that's a trigger or I'm trying to I'm remembering back to what it was like for me, but I just don't enjoy it because it's okay during the day, but then it gets to like 9, 10 o'clock and it's when people aren't making sense. And I know not all bars are rough as shit, but there is that kind of little teetering on the edge of people getting, you know, a bit violent and pissed off and fights breaking out, and I don't enjoy that. Do you know what I mean? That's not like, I never enjoyed that, but I think when you're in it and you're in that whole alcohol world, it doesn't really bother you. Do you know what I mean? But when you're sober and you're watching it around you, you're just like, why is this fun for people? And that's again another thing, like, you know, the fact that me being on the outside of it now, looking in, it just disgusts me, the whole alcohol industry, who actually regulate themselves. I found out they actually they're the ones that are basically have to put warnings, which they don't, you know, put the drink responsibly on it, you know, they put the ad campaigns on and all that, so they regulate themselves, which I think is absolutely atrocious in this day and age. Like cigarette manufacturers, if they could regulate themselves, you know, there'd be like twice as many people still smoking, but because the government and the health authorities have stepped in and they've kind of, they're, you know, I mean, even Rishi Sunak's trying to ban smoking by, I don't know, 2030 or something like that. Which, yeah, that's a good thing. You know, smoking kills, and there's nothing good about it at all. Alcohol kills, and alcohol kills in the most like undignified way possible. It's absolutely horrible. Go and do some research if you don't know about it, because it just breaks everything down in the body. It doesn't just affect a few organs or whatnot, it actually destroys every single organ in the body. So you keep doing that continuously and you'll hit a nasty end. And the fact that it's not just about like how it can kill you, it's about how much damage it does to you. You know, like if you're out there trying to do fitness or take care of yourself and you're drinking as well, you're just reducing yourself to get as fit as you could be. You know, there's things like breast cancer, where I think I saw the other day, I can't remember the percentages, but percentages of people that drink compared to the people that don't drink, the chances of, you know, developing breast cancer for the people that do drink are like much higher. It's not just a fraction, it's much higher. So, you know, when I was drinking, I didn't even know that I knew smoking caused cancer. I didn't know that drinking caused cancer. So I was like, when I found that out, I was like, well, why don't they put that on the bottle? You know, why don't they tell people that? And it's like, you think then, well, it must be that you need to drink for like 200 years before it does any damage to you. Nah, it's you know, it's like smoking. You know, some people get affected by it, some people don't. But with alcohol, it's affecting every organ in your body, and it does damage. So, you know, I'm sorry I don't have any facts and figures on me today, but go and do the research. You know, I wasn't even planning on doing this video today, so I feel like I've just come on a little bit unprepared. But actually, the facts are there that it does cause cancer. It does damage your whole being. It damages the mind, and it, you know, like if you're having a cigarette, and I'm not trying to say that smoking is good for you, I'm not saying that at all, but if you're smoking a cigarette, you can go back into work and you're fine. Do you know what I mean? Okay, you stink a little bit and you might have a little bit of a raspy cough, but when you start drinking, you're literally inhibited straight away. Do you know what I mean? You lose kind of motor skills almost like immediately. If you have 2 pints, I think that's over the limit now. So like, why would you have 2 pints and then not be the person you were like an hour or half an hour ago? You know, it's like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I've got a lot of friends that still drink, so I'm not, you know, I never kind of preach to them. If they ask me about it, I'll tell them, but I never preach. But you know, I have a few friends, and some of them are like, well, this is the work that I do, and I need to kind of be in that thing. Well, you don't have to be. Do you know what I mean? You can change that, and you can actually be the one person that goes, you know what, we might be going out on a works meeting or a big like kind of meal and then a session afterwards. You don't have to drink. Do you know what I mean? They can drink, but you don't have to do that. And if they see you doing that, they might start following suit, because they might think, well, actually, you know what? I don't have a drink problem. I don't need to drink. You know, I'm not like doing this to stave off withdrawal or anything. So actually, why don't I try that? And it's just about changing people's behaviors. And if they see you doing it and they've got respect for you, which I'm sure they do, then they might actually think, do you know what? I need to start doing this as well. Just food for thought. And Christmas is coming up, so I may not do another one of these before Christmas, but Christmas is coming up. It'll be my fourth sober Christmas. Yeah, which is quite amazing to think about. Yeah, fourth sober Christmas, which I'm looking forward to. You know, I don't really worry about Christmas anymore, but if you are just starting out on your kind of sober journey, you don't have to do anything. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing. That's like, if you're not comfortable about going to a Christmas do, still go. I mean, don't go if you really don't feel comfortable, but I would go. And if you can drive, then you know what, you leave at any time you like. You know, if it's a meal and the meal's generally quite kind of calm and not too many drunk people at that point, so do the meal. And then if it starts getting a bit like leery and people are getting a bit boring and repeating themselves and literally waiting for you to stop talking so that they can repeat what they just said about 5 minutes ago, that's time to leave. And if you're not a driver, it doesn't matter, just get a taxi. Do you know what I mean? The taxi will probably be cheaper at that time of night anyway. New Year's, yeah, you know, it's the same kind of kettle of fish. It's you know, if you are going to be doing dry January, then why not start off the new year without a massive hangover? Do you know what I mean? Like, just don't go hell for leather on New Year's Eve, and don't go, well, if I'm going to give up for 31 days, then I'm just going to absolutely cane it. Don't do that. You know, like just try and go out, have a few drinks, or stay in, if you're going to a house party, whatever you're doing. Do you know what I mean? Like, watch Jules Holland. You know, it's a bit of a myth. I mean, Scotland, Hogmanay, it was always bigger than Christmas, and it was just because Scotland's like, you know, loves a drink, but it was always a bit of an anticlimax. I would always get completely shit-faced and mostly black out before the actual New Year bells, you know. So why not wake up 1st of January with no hangover and feeling amazing and go, do you know what, this is a good start to the new year. Start as you mean to go on. Don't wake up on the 1st of January like absolutely battered and feeling like you've you know, a pig shat in your head. Don't do that. And again, like the bit in between Christmas and New Year, mostly people just kind of drink and that. Don't do that. Just find stuff to do. Go out for walks. Go and catch up with old people, with old friends. You know, it doesn't even have to be in person. Get on Zoom, things like that. Find a new hobby. You know, start planning your 2024. Can't believe it's 2024 coming up. But anyway, you know, do that. Like, plan your year. Make new changes and try and kind of improve your life. You know, you don't have to be like an ex-drinker or anything like this to improve your life. Everyone can be striving to make their life better, and by starting off the new year, by doing that, it gives you that, you've got that time off work or whatever, you know, between Christmas and New Year to start planning, making decisions, and, you know, really kind of getting into the groove and the stride of what the next new year is going to be and what it's going to bring for you. If you start off that like comatose in your bed wanting a McDonald's, then you need to have a word with yourself. Do you know what I mean? It's like, get up on the 1st of January and go for a run, go for a big hike. I will be somewhere in the middle of Scotland, probably, hopefully, in a bit of snow, in a little log cabin. So that's what I'm doing with my lovely lady, and I can't wait. Do you know what I mean? It'll be the first new year since being sober that I'll be doing something that's really, really special. You know, the first year I had a few soft drinks with my folks. They'd been down the pub. I just stayed in. I wasn't doing anything, but they came back from the pub and we brought in the new year. I think I had a Schlur or something. What to do the second year, I think I just stayed in the cottage and you know, watched Jules Holland with some ginger beer, and I had a great time. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't anything. I wasn't missing out. And what was I heard the other day? So you got FOMO, but there's JOMO, the joy of missing out. Actually, you don't need to be doing these things that you think you're having a fear of missing out. It's the joy of missing out. You're like, you know what? I'm happy not going and doing that and being part of the carnage. Last year, just went to a friend's house, and yeah, it was cool. It was all right. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't raucous and it wasn't absolutely mental. There was only a handful of us there, and it was fine. But I absolutely cannot wait to go away for New Year this year. It's going to be awesome. And that's about it from me today. It is horrible here, so there's not even any view for me to show you. It's just all foggy. Sun might come out later, so I might go and do a bit of work, but I think I'm going to go home and really just stick my head back into my book and try and get that done. Because, you know, I'm a good chunk of the way through it, but I just kind of got a bit uninspired. But lately I've been feeling really, really, really good and really inspired. My life is amazing since giving up drinking. You know, I really don't have any thoughts of drinking at all. I hate the stuff, and you know, I know it took me to go through all of that to get to this point, and I don't regret it. You know, I don't regret any of my life, because, you know, I did have good times. There's a few things that I wished, yeah, I mean, I could wish I'd done them differently, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't be the person that I am now today. Do you know what I mean? And that is the person that I've always been destined to be, and it feels amazing to finally be kind of cracking that nut. And you know, I pinch myself every day. You know, I do. I know I don't post on Recovery Jimmy every day, but you know, I still go and look at you know, the people I follow on there, and it just gives me that inspiration. And to have my own business, to be my photography doing really well, having a lovely, amazing lady in my life, all of these things is just, you know, my family are amazing. It's just, life is good, and I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for just that one thing, giving up alcohol. And you know, I'm reaping the benefits. It's unbelievable just how one little thing can really change your life around. So yeah, I think that's about it for me today. So stay safe, stay strong, stay supportive, and stay sober. If you aren't sober and you want to get sober, then, you know, drop me a DM, reach out to your friends, you know, talk to them. Don't be afraid. Like I said it before, but Alcoholics Anonymous, that worked back then, but the anonymous part is just bullshit. You know, people need to be outspoken about this and, you know, let people know that they're struggling, because if they're not doing that, then people are just gonna wash over it. They're not gonna know unless you're an absolute raging alcoholic like I was, where I couldn't hide it any longer. But there's all different types of problem drinking, you know. It can be as little as having 1 bottle of Prosecco a week, and when that's been taken away from you, you know, for some reason you can't get to the bottle that Friday night, and you start getting anxious. Like, I know people that's what it is, and that is problem. That's grey area drinking problems. Do you know what I mean? Because the body's already got that hold. The alcohol's got that hold on you, that you need that little thing. And if that is it's controlling you in a small way. So yeah, knock it out. You know, I know we're kind of getting to the end of Sober October, but I hope people that have been doing it have done really well, and it's made them not just like a kind of endurance to get through it and then get to November and go, right, let's get smashed, but see the benefits that's happening. You know, I think I said it in a post before, why not just try and go on to November, and then yeah, have a few drinks in December, but have a look and think back at what your relationship with alcohol was like and the benefits that you've received after stopping it. So yeah, just have a go at that. It doesn't have to be October. You can do it in November, you can do it in December, you can do it in January, you can do it any time you want. Just have a think about what you're actually benefiting from drinking and what you will benefit if you don't. You know, just have a way up. And the thing is, if you say to people, if I say to someone, well, you know, look at all the benefits you can have, and they go, oh, what benefits? And I tell them, and it's like, you can tell them, but they have to try it themselves. You know, they have to go out and actually do it and see the benefits and then weigh it up, because unless you actually do it, you're not going to know what benefits feel like and what they actually are. And if you can't do that, you know, if you can't just give up alcohol for a month for no reason, then yeah, that's an issue, and probably need to do something about that. But again, we live in a society where it's socially accepted and socially acceptable, and you know, it is a problem. You know, the fact that I think the government spend 20 billion a year on just policing, you know, the towns and cities on a Friday, Saturday night to stop people getting into trouble with booze. It's a lot of money, so the benefits definitely outweigh the negatives. So yeah, anyway, stay strong, stay safe, stay supportive, stay sober, have an amazing day, and yeah, I might do another video before Christmas, but it probably won't be for ages. So you know, it's my life is good. I don't have that many rants anymore about alcohol, so who knows. But anyway, see you later. Peace. Bye bye.